Charlie Thom will honor us with a blessing as we begin.
Yeah. Yay. Paipuna wakani in pini chin kinimut. Karakon pepe araras. Karakovo panararas. Yay pimps and pitchers my frank masupa. Yatin a hote key. Yavno pikia punuthisanen. Cobra panara cobra. Hatter father yavno pikiawish. Wak me pin if you charge me. Yote wa pai. Hatter fat for whatever yavno pikiawish. Piep wa pai para kupitia piep. Pat kunisyo kunara. Ho ho.
Yeah, thank you, Charlie. That was the beautiful Karuk language from the Klamath River. It's lovely to see so many people. It's lovely to do something that people want to come to and turn out for, and I'm very proud of this event. My name is Malcolm Margolin. I'm publisher of Heyday Books, and we do about 25 books a year, many of them on California Indian culture and history, and we also do a magazine, News from Native California, that's been covering California Indian culture and history for 20 years now. This is part of a whole series of events that we've been doing on California Indian cultural revival. And we've been planning this event with the Phoebe Apperson Hearst Museum for the last year or so. And they've been just lovely to work with. The reason that it was free, the reason that it's in such a posh hotel, the reason that we've been able to fly in some of the singers and the dancers and the storytellers of California has been because of the money that the Hearst raised because of their efforts. I want to thank my friend Kent Lightfoot, who's just stepped down as director of the Hearst, and Sandra Harris, who's deputy director, and Kim Preciado, who's program director. And I want to thank, as long as I'm thanking people, I'll thank the Fleishhacker Foundation and the various departments of the university that kicked in money for this. It was very lovely. And it's lovely to look out and see so many friends, including my good friend Greg Castro. Do you want to wave, Greg? Just embarrass yourself slightly.
Oh, I thought you meant you.
Yeah, no, what are friends for if you don't embarrass each other? Greg is Salinan from, his people come from the Salinas Valley, the San Antonio Valley. And Greg will remember about 12 years ago, I was down there doing some writing and some research and on Indians and the Hunter-Liggett military reservation. And while I was there, I stopped in at the King City newspaper to see what the years of newspaper coverage of the Indians had been. And I went through years and years of newspapers, and I discovered that in 1870, there was a wonderful article about how the last Salinan Indian had died. And it was a very mournful, very lovely article. And in 1880, there was a marvelous article about how the last Salinan Indian had died. And in 1890, there was an article about how the last Salinan Indian had died. And in 2000, there was an article about the last of his tribe. and it was the last Salinan Indian. Well, the last Salinan Indian kept dying for a century. And this amazed me because after I read this, I mean, I would go off and I would meet Greg and his members of the tribal council. And they didn't look very dead. They were the most contentious lot of people I could ever imagine. I mean, they were vibrant, they were lively, they were doing cultural research, they were doing language restoration. But I think it sums up two things, and one of the things it sums up is the attitude of the dominant culture that the last real Indian has gone. The last real Indian is forever going. And it's the unwillingness of the Indian community to go along with this. that despite the best efforts of the media, California Indians have been marvelously culturally vibrant, and they've revived their, and they've continued, it's persevered. As an editor and a publisher, it's been just one of the great thrills of my life to be a witness to a major cultural revival that has gone on for the last 30 years now, where people are regaining their language, they're regaining their songs, they're regaining the sense of themselves. It's heartbreakingly beautiful. I think there's probably more language spoken in California today than there was 10 years ago. It's been simply heartbreaking and very, very beautiful. With it comes, with cultural revival comes political revival. And I think it comes with it the rights and the capacities of people to maintain their own stories, to tell their own, to have control of their own remains. And this has often caused trouble with universities and with museums. I've asked, the new director of the Hearst Museum is Judd King. And Judd has offered to come up and talk a little bit about the Hearst and what it's planning to do in the years ahead and what he's planning to do. And it's a pleasure to have him as a co-host. And this is his 9th day on the job, so it's not his fault.
I've had lots of hard acts to follow in my day. This is another one. I do want to offer you a welcome on behalf of the Hearst Museum, and I'd like to make one other thank you towards the campus, which is to the Campus Arts Foundation, which did contribute generously to this event as well. I'm not the ordinary museum director. I'm a chemical engineer, and they're not usually found directing museums. But I've been with this university for 45 years, and I've been in a host of administrative positions on the campus and down in Oakland for 10 years at the system level. And that's what I bring to this job, rather than a knowledge of museums or of anthropology. What I'm here about is for a period to work on several major things. One is the relationships of the museum with its constituencies, and of course, prime among these is the Native community of California, so that will be a big effort. And I'm also working with the museum to help guide it through some very major issues of facilities and projects and where it will be located in the future. Yes, it may move around some, but not away from the Berkeley campus. One of the delightful things about getting back into the ranks from the stratosphere of Oakland is the opportunity to experience what the university is all about. And an event like this is what the university is all about. It really gives me a lot of pride and pleasure to be attached to it. I'm very pleased that we're working together with Heyday Books on this. And I very much look forward to the evening. And unfortunately, I can only look forward to the first part of the evening, because before all of this happened, starting about 2 to 3 weeks ago, I had scheduled myself for a very early morning flight to Washington tomorrow, and that is where I am going. So I will be doing my thing there. But I will certainly enjoy the first part of this, and I invite all of you to enjoy all of it. Thank you. Back to Mike.
Yeah, thank you, Judd. I hope it works out with the relationships. I think that I've always been stunned at the depth and the beauty of the collection of the Hearst. And I mean, this is the treasure house of California Indian world. I mean, this is, you don't know it from the display area. But back in these vaults and stuff is just treasures that are things of beauty, things that are such tributes to human skill and such tributes to human imagination. And I think that the Hearst needs, for its own sense of greatness, it needs a full relationship with the Indian community. These are the people that have the knowledge, they have the understanding, they can breathe life into it all. I mean, this is the true constituency, and I think there's a necessity, and I hope it works out. I hope that this furthers its working out. The first person that we'll have to share something of their culture is my dear friend Linda Yamane. And I've known Linda for about 20 years. She's Rumsien Ohlone, traces her descent to people that lived along the Carmel River and were later missionized in Mission Carmel. And she has been absolutely lovely in her capacity to restore language, to learn baskets, to learn songs, to take stuff that hasn't been done for years, to pull back things from the brink of extinction, and to bring them out and to share them with others. And it's a pleasure to have Linda Yamane. Let's welcome her.
Oh, there you are. This is yours. It's on. It's on. It's on.
Very, very beautiful. And always moving. The next person up is Mike Mirelez. And Mike comes from the Torres Martinez Reservation in Southern California, Thermal, the desert area. He's Desert Cahuilla. And he's one of a group of young people that have revived the bird songs that were once sung. And I remember 20 years ago, the bird songs seemed to be strictly in the hands of a few elders who had plucked them out of the old houses and had been relearning them and had singing them and teaching them to younger people. And now it's become, you go down there and there are young people performing and there are young people doing bird songs, and it's a vibrant scene. People come there not because they want to do cultural revival, but because they want to have a good time. And it's one of the most heartening things that I've seen, and it's a pleasure to have Mike Mirelez come to be with us tonight. Mike?
Good evening, everybody. Can you hear me? Oh, there it goes. I'm not really much of a good public speaker. I'm just strictly a singer, so just please bear with me. As you said, I'm one of the younger singers back home. The only reason we have our Cahuilla songs today is because of the efforts of three men, Mr. Alvino Siva, Robert Levi, and Anthony Andreas. These three men, at one time, you know, when all Cahuilla, we all knew the songs and everybody knew the customs and traditions, it dropped down so drastically to only three men. And three men from different reservations. Luckily, they came together and they started talking and you know, talking about how sad it was, you know, how things are, that remembering old times. They said, well, why don't we just start bringing it back? So they started meeting at the house and they started just practicing, and by doing so, they started remembering, triggering their memory, and slowly but surely we started getting things back. And that's kind of how, like, the sad part is, you know, there was only three of them, so they couldn't be everywhere. And I didn't hear our songs until I was 17 years old. For a long time, there was no songs or dances at all whatsoever on my reservation. It was pretty much almost extinct. And it wasn't until, sadly, a funeral, my uncle's funeral, that's when I first heard our songs. And once I heard them, I was hooked. I did everything I could. You know, before, I would never, if anybody ever told me you're going to be a singer and you're going to do all these things, I'd be like, no way. I mean, I can't even dance. I'm going to sing. But as soon as I heard these songs, I had to learn them. I didn't care if I looked stupid or if I sounded, you know, like an idiot. I wasn't doing it because I wanted to be recognized or to be seen. I wanted to sing because it was just something that pulled me to it. And that's all I wanted to do. It was not to set out for any recognition at all, just to be a singer, that's it. So I kept bugging these three men over and over again. I kept popping up. Wherever they were singing, I was there. I'm like, who's this kid? It's coming out from nowhere. I'd always find a way. Anyways, just trying to explain a little bit, you know, where I'm coming from. See, the struggle back then was, you know, the churches and everything were killing our culture. They didn't want us Indian people to exist anymore. So devised a plan to get rid of it. That was the struggle then. The struggle now that we have is amongst each other. You know, there's no white person trying to stop me from singing. There's no black person or Hispanic person stopping me from trying to be Cahuilla. Sadly, it's our own people. You know, it's, you know, and a lot of people, they don't talk about this because there's certain things you don't talk about in public. But, you know, it's just like racism. If you don't talk about racism, you know, you don't educate the public on what's going on, then it's never going to change. You know, no one's saying anything. And when no one says anything, nothing gets done. Change never happens. So, I mean, please forgive me if I offend anybody by what I'm saying. That's not my objective at all. My objective is to point out that, you know, we shouldn't be jealous of each other. We shouldn't be looking at when somebody gets up to sing and dance, we shouldn't be jealous and singing, well, they're taking my thunder, they're taking my recognition. They shouldn't be up there doing it. That's the way it's kind of seen. And sadly, that's what's killing our culture now. That's what's stopping it from progressing and getting any further. So that's the thing now. Like when we talk about like new songs, everybody says stop there. Whoa, whoa, whoa. You know, don't do that. You can't do that. You have to just stick with what we have and that's it. But the sad thing is that a lot of our songs, and even our old people say this, that our songs are so old that the language, some of it's forgotten. So some of the meanings lost. So we can't translate all their songs that we have, but we know what the songs pertain to and we know what the meaning is for. So that part we're safe. But to get people, like, it's sad. When we go to our wakes and they're singing, you know, our elders get angry because people start talking. Because the way our wakes go is that when there's a death, they sing from sundown to sunup. They're singing to that person. They're telling them where they're going to go. Okay? Now that's something very beautiful, very meaningful. I mean, you're expressing how much love you have for that person and the Creator up above. I mean, there's nothing higher than that. And people begin to talk. They start talking in the crowd. And it's rude. And the elders, they get angry. And they turn on and go, why are you talking? You shouldn't be talking. You know, this person here is on their journey, and you're over here talking and laughing and having a good time. There's two perspectives that neither one are seeing. There's the perspective of, you know, the elders and how they've grown up with this and how you're supposed to be and how you should be understanding and looking at it. And they're right, but they're missing the point of view from my generation on. We don't know what they're saying. We don't know what they're singing about. The only thing we connect with is the music. The music is the only thing that makes us feel and understand like what's going on. But as for the words, you know, no one's getting up and explaining it because they really don't take the time to do it. So it's kind of hard when you're sitting there for them to be connected, and that's kind of where we're at right now. And that's something that, you know, hopefully in the future it'll change, because they think, you know, if you understand what's being said and what's going on, well then, you know, we won't have that problem of having that disrespect being done where people are talking. You know, they start to reminisce about the person up there. That's what they're doing. They're talking about the good times they had with them. So, you know, that's what's going on in the crowd. So I think if we just start talking together more and be more open instead of being so closed and trying to stick on things that we think look Indian and that actually are, then we'll start to move forward, and then our culture will flourish even more. So that's my take on that. Now on to the songs. The bird songs, as I said, the bird songs are the Cahuilla version of how life began. The bird songs are kind of like, I can give you a little example for those that know powwow. The powwow culture is shared by many tribes. Cheyenne, Lakota, Arapaho, you know, all those plains tribes, they all share the powwow culture with the dances and the songs. Well, bird is kind of like that for those of us in Southern California and parts of Arizona and even down parts of Mexico. We all share that song. See, for Cahuilla, it's strictly a social song, not for ceremonies at all whatsoever. But for the other tribes, because they've lost so much, they use their songs for, the bird songs for wakes, blessings, and ceremonies and stuff. But us as Cahuilla, we try to keep to the tradition. We don't sing our social songs at our ceremonial, at our ceremonies, because we believe you can't substitute one for another. And it's not to downplay what they do. It's just, we're trying to stick to as close as the culture as we can. Now, the songs, like I said, are talking about the beginning of creation. And it goes so far back it explains even when God was born. They say in the beginning there was nothing. It was all blackness. And then lightning struck, all different colors, red, white, brown, yellow. All these colors, lightning struck. And an embryo was formed. But the embryo died. It didn't make it. 2 more times this happened, so a total of 3 times. Finally, on the 3rd time when the lightning struck, the embryo survived. And inside the embryo was 2 beings instead of 1. There's Mooka and Temiawet. These are the 2 twin brothers that were born. And they started to talk to each other as they're filling their bodies, trying to feel, and understand what's going on. And the first song that we sing, the beginning of the bird songs, the brothers are singing to each other. They're saying that together we're gonna use our feathers and our staff, and we're gonna create the world. We're gonna start life. We're gonna create life. So that's what the first song I'm gonna sing is talking about. The second one is talking about when they start to mold man and put him into the earth for incubation. So to start, the creating process. I know another word for it. So those are the first 2 songs I'm gonna sing. And these are the beginning songs, The songs start from, when we used to do these, traditionally we'd start from sundown to sunup without repeating one song. That's the way that the dance would go. Mainly because, I'm desert Cahuilla. Nobody's dancing during the day because it's too dang hot. So nighttime is when all dancing goes. The beginning songs talk about the creation of life and how it began. Now, the brothers start to argue, as brothers do. They start arguing about whose creation is better. Mooka is looking at Temiawet, and he's saying, he's looking at his creation, and he sees the head. No, actually, he sees the feet. And he's got feet going both directions, forward and backwards. So, what is that? What's that? Well, that way they have balance. He goes, well, they just stand still, They got 2 legs. And then he says, and what's with the hands? Because the hands were webbed. He says, well, that's That way they can gather water better and drink. So, well, they just put their hands together. And he goes, and what's with the head? There's two faces. One face forward, one face back. He doesn't know where he's coming or going. And with that, Temio got angry. He got tired. He got fed up of being criticized. And he slams his staff into the earth. And the earth opens. And he goes into the earth and he takes all his creations with him. And that's what this next song I'm about to sing is talking about. It's talking about when he's taking everything with him. And Mooka and his creation stay here on earth. Now that's when Temio, they go into the earth. The second song is after the earthquake. They say that's when we started speaking different languages, because after the earthquake, he was calling everybody, and only those that understood Cahuilla came to him. And he was calling to get everybody together to explain what was going on, what was happening. It says that kind of the explanation why we have so many different languages, because the earth shook so violently that it just changed everything and confused the hell out of everybody. Helmokalowe, 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 helmokalowe. And this is the one where he starts calling the people to come down from the hills, from the mountains. Come down, come closer. I'm going to tell you something. He gathers the people, and the story actually takes like a week to tell. So I'm giving you like the Cliff Note version, okay? I'm chopping it up like crazy so I can fit it into 20 minutes. Now, everything starts to settle, life's going on, but something happens. Mooka gets bored, and he starts to do things with the people. He starts to entertain himself with the people, and he does a lot of bad things. And finally, the last straw was one day he was bored, and he stands up, he says, hey, why don't we play a game? And he grabs his staff, and he goes, do this. And he sticks himself in the stomach, and he pulls the staff out of his back. And then everybody's like looking at him like, no, whoa, no way. We do that, we'll die. He goes, no, you won't. Look, and he did it again. And they're like, well, if Mooka says it's okay, why not? You know, he's God. What are you going to say no? So they all line up and they start shooting each other with arrows, bows and arrows. Sure enough, people start dying. They start dropping like flies. And later on, the people got together and had a secret meeting. And they're talking about, what are we going to do? We have to do something. You know, he keeps doing things like this. We can't have this. We have to do something. And they say it was the flicker. That's, flicker. That's not a Cahuilla word. Tavish is the flicker. It was the flicker that said, Biyam. Biyam means to witch him. Kill him. You know, because that's what he's doing to us. Because if we don't do anything, more is going to happen. So they decide to kill Mooka, and they do. They use frog. Frog has the strongest medicine. So frog witches Mooka, and that's when things start to really get bad. And jumping forward a little bit more, see, they killed Mooka, so he tells them that, you know, since this is after they cremated him and everything, that, well, okay, since they've done that, it's fair, it's understandable. But now you guys have to leave. You can't stay here. I have a place for you, but you have to go find it. So that's when they start the journey for the promised land. They say that's when we traveled this continent 3 times before we found the promised land, what we're looking for. And that's what the bird songs are talking about, the trials and tribulations of the people through the journey. And some of these songs, they'll describe like the things that they've seen and things that they went through. These next 2 I'm gonna talk about is like the things they experience with the weather and the conditions. The first one's talking about the wind's coming upon us, and it's hard. It's blowing hard, and you know, with everything blowing, the rocks and sticks and everything, it stings. And the second song is talking about it's cold, it's really cold, and people are dying because it's so freezing cold. And that's what these 2 songs are talking about, the trials and tribulations that they're going through. So that's what these 2 are. Yoi pamo chamnakan, yoi pamo chamnakan, chamnakan, yoi pamo chamnakan, yoi pamo chamnakan, chamnakan, yoi pamo chamnakan, yoi pamo chamnakan, 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 yoi pamo chamnakan, 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 yoi pamo chamnakan, yoi pamo chamnakan, chamnakan, yoi pamo chamnakan, yoi pamo chamnakan, 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 yoi pamo chamnakan, 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 yoi pamo chamnakan. Yo ho yo and my yo and my 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 yo and my Now, the songs that follow, they start talking about the terrain and things that they see, and they start describing the area. So, you know, we've been able to actually go back and find those places. So it's kind of like a blueprint of, you know, that's how all natives kept their history, was through orally, through song, through stories, and that's another reason why they created Bird. Bird is sung in a sequence, so they could stop. Like I said, they sang from sundown to sunup, and wonder, well, how do you keep track? The songs were put in a specific order, so wherever they stopped, they come back, and they knew exactly where to start from. So these songs are sung for social events only, for whatever, birthday parties, you know, just getting together, everybody hanging out. That's what they're there for. The music is to remind the people, you know, why we're alive, what we live for. Because, like I said, the songs talk about the trials and tribulations that the people went through, and all the love that they had for the Creator, and the Creator had for them and each other, and how that's how we survived, by sticking together. And I think a lot of times we all talk about that publicly, but a lot of times behind the scenes, you know, everybody's kind of forgotten that part. They think they don't really have to do it. I remember I was at the tribal hall for a wake, and I was there helping. See, normally the women, they put up the material for the wakes, but there was no women there helping. There was only 2 older ladies, and I was the only one that was young enough to climb up and down the ladder to put the material up. So I remembered Mr. Levi. He's the one, he's our head singer for Torres Martinez. And he says, you know, what you're doing is good. And I thought I was just helping out the ladies. I wasn't really, but I wanted to learn what was going on too at the same time. But he says, you know, what you're doing is good. This is what being Indian is. It's not having the long hair, wearing the feathers, and going out in public and dancing like that. It's doing things like this, taking care of each other. I mean, this is what we have to do. This is what makes us a tribe. This is what makes you Indian. And he pointed at me and he said that, and I never forgot that. Sadly, this is actually the first time I've sang in a few months, because we lost Mr. Levi a few months ago. He's the head singer for Torres Martinez, the Desert Cahuilla. Like I said, there was 3 out of one time 10,000. Now down to 3. Now, myself and a couple other friends, we've been struggling trying to revive these songs and keep them going to carry on their work. And that's a struggle we face today. And it's going pretty good, because now Bird's flourishing like crazy now. It's coming back. And it just takes, you know, learning these songs and spending time with these 3 men. I learned not to give up. And that's what these songs are about too. The journey is you don't give up. You keep going through and fighting and getting up every day no matter what. No, I'm going to close with these last 2 songs. These last 2 songs talk about the birds. The birds are singing towards the sun. And he pointed it out. He says, you ever notice that at night and in the morning, the birds are always facing towards the sun and they're singing. They're singing it up and they're singing it down. He says that's what these 2 songs are talking about. And for me, each time these songs, they represent to me, it's a new day. It's a new day. Start all over. Get up. No matter what happened yesterday, get up, and you got to do what you got to do to make it happen. Because if you don't, who will? So I'm going to close with these 2 songs. I just want to thank the people from here at the museum for bringing me out. I really appreciate it. Gives me a chance to come out and talk about these 3 men and give them the recognition they deserve. And also the fact that it's California natives. See, the thing is, not too many people know is that California natives were almost like the forgotten people. Because other tribes, they look at us like we don't exist. You know, they say, oh, there's Indians in California? And it's just strange to me. Because we don't dress the way they do. We don't look the way they do. And, you know, like me, I'm dressed. I asked them, well, what am I supposed to wear? What kind of event is this? You know, I don't know what to do. And she goes, well, just wear what you wear. And that's what we do when we sing. Well, it's not about dressing up, because it's not a ceremony. We're just coming out to sing and share our culture. So I just kind of want to explain this. But again, thank you very much. I really appreciate it, and I really appreciate the fact that, you know, it's giving recognition to California natives, because, like I said, sadly, you know, it's our own home, And, you know, a lot of times in the beginning, we weren't even allowed to sing at the powwows, which was funny. You know, you're at our house and you're having a party and we're not invited? What's going on here? But things are changing, things are changing. Hayom, hayom, poele, hayom, poele, hayom, hayom, poele, hayom, poele, hayom, poele, hayom, hayom, poele, hayom, hayom, poele, hayom, poele, hayom, poele. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mike, for such a vigorous and honest presentation. I remember listening to some of these older bird singers and thinking that if I died and went to heaven and there was an eternity of bird songs, it would be an eternity that I'd be willing to spend. I mean, they just go on and stories unravel. The next person is Ron Goode, and Ron is tribal chair of the North Fork Mono, and this is the group of people that live between Fresno and Yosemite up in the mountains. Ron is a teacher. He's taught at universities. He has a deer farm. He's been an administrator. He's been a wonderful craftsman in a variety of skills. He's a storyteller. And he's been just vigorous and marvelous in his advocacy for Indian rights, for the rights of unrecognized people to achieve federal recognition. He's a good friend, and it's wonderful to have Ron Goode here. Thank you, Ron.
Manahu. Lovely crowd. First of all, thank you, Malcolm and Lillian and Sandy and museum, everybody, for inviting us. Welcome to California American Indian Day. This is what it is today, so good celebration. Thank you to Ronald Reagan for making this our day. I want to thank two of my good friends and elders and one of my council members, Ividel Mowry and Sue Jackson, and my good friend in the back, Marilyn. Good to see her. That was great, wasn't that? Wasn't that song's great? I mean, Mike says that he's not much of a public speaker, but I think he's great. And them songs, I could sit back there in that big chair and just snooze away. You know, and then Linda, what a voice. You know, I don't even want to sing. I'll tell you you know, we're never alone. Our spirits and our ancestors are always with us, and I think that your ancestors were right here sitting with you. They were there. She said something about, there goes dinner. You know what a vegetarian is, right? That's a poor Indian hunter, deer hunter. We're mono, which means monkey or doll in Spanish. In our language, we're nim, means the people. And so I want to kind of start off with a little blessing and healing song. Today we've formed a bridge. This is a good bridge between our culture and our people. The museum has, like you said, all of our traditions over there. We have our traditions too at home, but we like that bridge to be able to go in there and see what was there. And like Linda said, some things sometimes they're hiding. You know, and when time is right, and that's how we teach, that's how our way is that when time is right, it will be given to us and be brought back. And so that's how we are. This is a healing and blessing song. Way hey, hey. Way hey, hey, way hey, hey. Way hey, 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 hey. Way hey, 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 hey. Way hey, 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 oh, ho, ho, oh, ho, ho, oh, ho, ho. Way hey, hey, way hey, hey. Way hey, 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 oh, ho, 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 ho. Way hey, 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 oh, ho, 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 ho. Mana. Like Mike was saying, we have songs for everything. There's for weddings, for funerals, for fun, for gambling. And music just a great part of all of our lives. I do a lot of study, a lot of history, and studying the Yokutch and Miwoks and the Mono. We had over 52 different games that they would play. And I go out to the schools and I tell the kids, our villages were just like your schools. We had basketball courts and football fields over here and playgrounds and playing hand game, and I'm a hand game player. So, you know, you can play hand game all night, all day, and just keep going. And so there's all kinds of different things that they would do. This is a little hand game song that came to me, and I put together. Kobo, kobo, na, huia. 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 Asua. Kobo, kobo, na, huia. 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 Have you ever heard that whistle? That's the oriole. And one time I was playing this for the kids, and one little oriole came and he sat right on the wire and he started singing with me. Oh, that was really great. Our songs do lots of different things. We had this little song. It's a very simple little song, and it's for the kids. So you got to imagine it's called a squirrel song. And this young boy is going out, and he's going out with all the family members, the grandmas and the aunts, and they're going out to gather, get some sticks, some berries, and they're taking him along with them. He's got his little bow and arrow, and he's going to go out and hunt squirrel. I don't know if any of you ever hunted squirrel, but I'll tell you what, you could pack a big old shotgun and still not bring a squirrel down. They're tough. They'll hang on to that tree and not let go, you know? Have 50 bullets in them. It still doesn't matter. They're tough. So that little boy and his arrow, he's going to be out there. That squirrel's pretty safe with him. But they go along, and they got to find that squirrel. Where's that squirrel at? So they're going along, and they're singing this song. My dill-away, gun, gun. 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 There's that squirrel. They're pointing over there. Right over there. He likes that song. My dill-away, gun, gun. My dill-away, gun, gun. My dill-away, gun, gun. My dill-away, gun, gun. So off the little boy goes, and he goes over, and he's got his little bow and arrow, and he's walking all around that tree. And his family goes over here, and they're getting sticks, and they're getting berries, and they're talking. And once in a while, so that he doesn't get discouraged, they sing the song. My dill-away, gun, gun. My dill-away, gun, gun. My dill-away, gun, gun. My dill-away, gun, gun. And the little boy, he continues his little hunt. You know, so I remembered that song, and I remembered that story. A few years ago, I was out cutting wood. And I'm out running my chainsaw and just really cutting wood, man. Got to get that winter fire going. Took a break. Nobody around. A few birds sitting there having lunch. Pine cones are coming down off the tree up here. You know, and I looked up there, and there he is. I said, all right. Next day, every time at lunch, same thing. Next day, I said, okay, 3 days is enough. So I said, you know, nobody's out here, so nobody's going to hear me sing. So I think I'll just sing to that squirrel and see if he likes this song. So I did. Put my sandwich down. He's up here in the trees, and I sang to him. My Delaware gun gun, my Delaware gun gun, my Delaware gun gun. I don't know if anybody saw me, you know, singing to the squirrel. My Delaware gun gun, my Delaware. Might not be here tonight. My Delaware gun gun, my Delaware gun gun. And there he come, tree to tree. He started coming down. And he got over there on the stump where I was sawing. And he sat right there. And he just started singing, my Delaware gun gun, my Delaware gun gun. I thought, well, I guess that song actually does work, you know? So the next day, here I come. I'm out there. I've got my chainsaw. I'm just a cutting. I got to get my load and get out of there. I've been playing with that squirrel. I look over, and there's a pine cone on the road. Oh, no. Here he is. Here he comes. He's hopping from tree to tree. There's one little oak tree right here in front of me. I'm just a cutting. He comes down that oak tree like that, and he's upside down. His little tail's back up here like this, and his little paw's down here, and he's looking at me, and he's going, play that song. Play that song. I was raised with my mother. My mother is since passed away many, many years ago. And she was raised with her grandparents. She went to 8th grade and then quit school. Her grandmother and her grandfather were born before the first white settler came to Fresno County in 1848. They were born, according to my mom, back in 1820s. But in any event, they were raised with the culture before it was influenced by European. And she left the 8th grade, dropped out of school, and then entered the Indian University. She could speak over 13 different languages, dialects from all over. She would go to Utah, go down to Arizona, all over Central California, go to Nevada, speak to all the different Indians, even go down to Chinatown down in Fresno. Said, you got to learn, you got to know a little bit of Chinese because you don't make sure they're not talking about you. So it was easy for her to her understanding of life. And when she was 5 years old, she was out on the trail, and a great horned owl came and walked along with her. She went back to her grandmother, and she said, what does that mean? What is that owl? Why did that owl walk along with me? Well, in the Indian culture, owl has many connotations. If you're an owl person, then the owl comes to you. And what the owl does is makes you a preparer. Owl is going to come and tell you bad news, going to tell you about illness, sickness, death. But as a preparer, you have to go out and be ready to take care of the tribal ways. Let the singers know, let the leaders and the dancers, and then go to the place where the house where the illness is taking place or the death is taking place. And then the criers come and they take care of this family. This is the responsibility of an owl person. But the owl can also be good luck. For the owl person, it's great luck. My mom used to have, was a gambler, and we would go and she would spend weeks sometimes playing cards. I'd have to go home on my own. She would come with a new purse, plop it right down on the table. Big owl sitting on this brand new leather purse. And all the card players would come to the table. And then they look up and they'd be getting their money out and whatever else. And they look over and they see that owl, like blackbirds. They were gone. I said, where did they go? She goes, they'll be back. They would go out there and they'd get wormwood and they'd get a rabbit's foot and they'd get hawk feathers, anything to try to change what she just did psychologically to them. So that was a good night. She had this power, though, with the owls, that the owls could come to her. And they would come to her. They would land on the house. They would land on the porch. And they would talk to her. And they would bark like a poodle off in the distance. And she could interpret that. And she would tell us who was sick. And that tomorrow morning, somebody, we had no telephones, no communication. But she would tell us that tomorrow morning, someone was going to come and pick us up and take us, and off we'd go. So first thing to get up in the morning is to take care of all my chores and get everything ready to go. And I only got one chance. That's what I had to do. And it would happen. So over the years, one night, we're sitting out in the full moon. I was raised without electricity. So we had kerosene lamps. Had to do my homework early. After 9 o'clock, she didn't like the light on. Blow it out. Especially on a full moon. Time to go outside. Sit down on the porch. Talk. Look at the stars. Look at the moon. Tell stories. Always telling stories. So we're sitting there. Ividel lives her family lives across the road about a mile. Closest neighbor. Highway goes this way. You could hear cars 2 or 3 miles, see car lights for a couple of miles. Nothing. Beautiful night. And she says, "Do you hear them? Can you hear them? They're coming." I said, "Who's coming? There's nobody coming. There's no lights. I can't hear no car." "Shh." "Listen, the owls are coming." I said, "The owls are coming?" She said, "Look, coming from Lizzie's." She said, "They're coming over there, right over in front of the moon, over the oak trees." And they came, great horned owls, 10, 12. And they came in pairs. Some of them never landed. They floated and they played. Some landed. One came and sat down next to her, and she sat in a chair, and it walked around her and walked around her. And she never moved her body, but just watched with her head and was talking to it. No words were said. One sat on the post. I didn't like him. He was looking at me. Sometimes he was licking his beak. One was nervous up on the roof, stamping, clicking his teeth. He had something to say. The others, eventually, they started flying off. I was happy when the one on the post flew off. Then the one on the ground got up and left. Maybe 20, 30 minutes had gone by. And then finally, the one up on the porch flies off. And I said, "What did he want? What did they want?" She said, "Just came to visit." I said, "Oh, good." And as the one flew away, he turned around and came back. And she said, "Oh, no." I said, "I knew he had something bad to say. He had to ruin the whole night." And of course, the next day we were on our way to a funeral. That was the owl. And this was her connection to the owl. And I could tell owl stories all night with her. But she had this connection to the elements, raised that way. Knew all about the elements. Knew all about the spirit of the land, spirit of the elements. Knew how to work with them. Had this perception of being able to see things, especially whirlwinds. we would be sitting there on the porch. She would be over here making baskets. I would be doing beadwork. And a whirlwind would start to come. Our house was an old house, sitting on a stagecoach road. But we were also a cross-section for 2 Indian trails. So sometimes a big whirlwind would come, and it would come toward the house. And she would get up and she'd walk over there and she'd yell at, Mina, qual a question, Mina? Boy, and that whirlwind would get to the yard and he'd look at her, I guess, or something, and he'd say, okay. And it would turn and go the other direction. I said, whew, that's some power. You know, that's good. So then she'd be sitting down. Maybe another day, she'd be sitting there. Oh, she'd say. I say, what? She goes, oh, little family's going on its way. And one little whirlwind would start up. Wouldn't be very big, maybe 10 feet. And it'd start to go. And then pretty soon another one, maybe 5, 6 feet. And then another one, maybe 2, 3 feet. And they would all go, and they would go up the road. And she'd say, they're going on their way. They're going up to see Mary up the road. I said, okay, that's good. You know, they were on their way. She could see that. One day we were sitting there. She's over there making her baskets. I'm doing my beadwork. And I kind of sensed something was going to happen, you know, starting to get a little bit of that power. I could feel the wind. Something was not right with the wind. And I looked around, and here come a big old whirlwind. Man, it was building. Man, it's going to hit the house. You know, and I'm looking over at her like, well, are you going to do something? I'm not saying anything, you know. I'm just looking, waiting for her to do something. She's over there covering up all her baskets with her quilt. You know, I'll start gathering up my beads. That whirlwind came, it hit the house. House rocked. Dust went everywhere. In my hair. Sat there for a while. You know. Put my beads back. Brushed off my chair. She pulls the quilt top back off her baskets. Shakes them out. I went back to beading. How come you didn't make that one go in the other direction? She doesn't say a word. Why? She says, white man never listen anyway. Indians have a very interesting way of teaching. Here we are on one of the greatest campuses in the world. And we've all heard the old adage, lifelong learners. Lifelong learners comes from the Native Americans. It's their way of teaching. You will get when your time is ready to get, and you will learn when your time is ready to be taught. That's when you'll be learned. That's when you'll get the information. So I got a little lesson one day. Oh, I don't know how much time I got. Okay. Cutting short. It's a long story. I'll run with it. Okay. So you got to go back, though, to the acorn when we were gathering acorn. And my mother would rip this certain dress, always had this one multicolored dress, put it aside, tear strips off of it, and always had it set aside. She color-coded all her acorn baskets and all her acorn. She gathered acorns. She was an acorn maker. And so some would be red, some would be blue, but one or two always had this multicolored one. Well, I figured out after a while why. We would go out early in the season, and start looking at the trees that we're going to gather from. And that September, like right now, the acorn frost has already come. And the first group of acorn that's dropped is either frostbitten or worms are in them. A few good acorns are down on the ground right now. So then later on, October, November, really good picking. So then late in November, here we were. We had one more crop of trees we hadn't gathered. But I see that she was getting that one special sack together and tying it and put it in the car. And off we went. So then she wanted to stop at this place that we've already gathered from 2-3 times. There's no more acorn there. And she said, come on, boy. That's what she called me. Come on, boy. Let's go pick this sack real quick. I said, Mom, there's nothing here. Let's go to the good crop. She said, we're going. Oh, you know, I was about 12, 13, dragging my feet. I didn't want to go. Come on. She'd challenge me. Make me go fast. She'd get over there. So we'd pick. I'd get mad, you know, good 12-year-old. Just gathering up everything, put it in the sack. As soon as we had it filled, off we could go. Hey, faster the better. So January comes. She's a basket maker. She needs some roots. She goes up to one of the elders up at the mission area. This lady she has me pull out a trunk, big trunk, full of roots. Now, normally when they go to buy roots, they don't even bother to pull them open. That's kind of like a bad thing to do, to check the roots, because if the lady says, this is long, this is short, then that's what it is. But no, my mom was pulling them apart. I said, ooh, this is not good. Of course, we always ate first. We had a little acorn, we had a little soup. Then she tells me she's got a quilt top down here and she's got it full. Then she tells me, run out in the car and get that sack of acorn. And I'm thinking to myself, no, wait a minute. We don't have no money. My mom's got a big sack of roots on a quilt top. How is she going to pay for that? So I go out in the car, and I'm thinking to myself, you know, kind of smart. Bring the sack out. I'm looking at it going, not this sack. This sack is the one that I got nothing but a wormy acorn in and holes in it and frostbitten acorn. So I put it on the porch. The cabins were kind of single-walled, one single frame underneath. So 100 pounds of acorn, I pick it up, boom! I hit it on the porch. The whole house shakes. She's inside. She goes, what are you doing? Nothing, Mom. Boom! I hit it again. I'm trying to get those worms to drop down, you know. Because that lady opens up this sack. She's going to open it up because Mom opened up her roots. So then, you know, my mom's yelling on the side, get that, what are you doing? I'm coming. So I take it in the house. I put it by the door. I'm watching, you know, she's got this, her quilt top kind of tied up now. So let's get that quilt top and let's get out of here. Bring that sack over here. Bring it over here. Oh, okay. Now can we go? So we're going down the road. And I said, we don't have no money. How'd you pay for all that? She goes, I paid her. We're going down the road, and my mom was like super honest. At least I thought. We're going down the road, you know. I said, man, you really ripped that old lady off. She goes, she got paid. Okay, I just learned something about my mom. Time goes by. Spring comes. Lots of baskets being made. Baskets being sold. Summer comes. Late summer. Still got baskets. Still got some of them roots using them. My mom's cleaning the yard. She's got stew going, tortillas, acorn. I said, somebody coming? She goes, yeah, they're coming this afternoon. Okay. Down they came. This lady comes. She sits down with my mother. She picks out half a dozen baskets, nice ones. I'm looking, the lady doesn't have her purse. So I said, she's going to send me to go get that purse pretty quick. She says, go get that sack in the back of the car. I said, what sack? I go back of the car and I see this sack, same one I had with multicolored string on it, you know. I brought it back, I set it down, lady takes off. I said, gee, I thought she was going to take us up to the store or something. She goes, with what? We don't have no money. I said, you just sold all those baskets. She goes, there's the payment right there. She goes, you mean a whole year has gone by and you haven't figured this out yet? And I said, well, a little bit slow. No. She says, that's our barter sack. That's our barter acorn. There was good acorn in it. The older first lady, she took out what she wanted. I took her acorn that day. She took a little bit. She took it to the next lady. She told her that I had it. And each one progressively took a little acorn out of it and traded until it got to the last person that said, that's Lena's. And the last person said, yeah, all right, because I'm going to Lena's and I'm going to get whatever I want as far as baskets were concerned. That's how the barter sack worked. And, you know, hard lesson. But later on, as I became a, teacher and studying, I find a report from Gifford, written in 1925. There it is, all about the barter sack. Except I'm reading it, and I'm going, this is not good. As I read it, some old lady back in 1925 decided to make this white man sick. And she took from the barter sack and crushed up the acorn with the worms and all the good stuff and fixed him some acorn to see if he would eat it or not. Well, unfortunately, that's how he wrote it up. And it's still being taught in our colleges today. So this was the real truth. Thank you.
Is the mic on? Yeah, it is. Hey, listen, I really hate to do this, but I got a message from the hotel that we're running late, and for Clarence and Charlie, quicker is better than longer. And I'm really sorry to do this. The next person to be with us tonight is Clarence Hostler. Clarence is from Hupa Valley, from the town of Takamildig, which is the center of the world. They still have, his family is in charge of the dances that have been heralding the creation of the world for a long time. Clarence has moved back to his homeland. I think you live in Wichpeck? In Orleans now, lives in Orleans, and has been just tremendously active in the dance community, which is like having a second full-time job. And it's a real honor to have Clarence Hostler here. Yeah, thank you so much, Clarence. I mean, that was just spectacularly generous in terms of the performance, the regalia, all of the care that went into that. That was just a tremendous gift, and thank you so much, Clarence. And last of this delicious evening is Charlie Thom. Charlie is Karuk Indian from the Quartz Valley, Fort Jones area. He grew up speaking the language. He grew up immersed in the culture. He's in love with his language and his culture and shares it with a vigor and a strength that's just extraordinary. I think that if we lived in a decent culture, Charlie would be a national treasure. And whether he's declared as such or not, he is a national treasure. So, Charlie?
I think I'll start off with I guess I have no itinerary, I have no agenda. It works better for me that way. I'll do the feathers do my talking, because I like to tell the world what really Indian really is. Indian is something that was brought in just like a spirit from, well, I guess you'd say this world was flooded one time. Same thing, you know. The Indian Bible, it's in my hand. Now, of course, with the tools that were used, the songs, like Mr. Hostler gave me a phone call one night, 11 o'clock at night. Now, who in the world is calling me 11 o'clock at night? So, he's telling me over the phone that, Charlie, you don't know me, but I'm from Hupa, you know. I know this grandma, and I know all the older people in the Hupa Indian Reservation, the Yurok Reservation, the Karuk Reservation. I kind of placed him where he was coming from. He said to me, when I was a little boy, I watched you dance, I watched you sing, I watched you done many things when I was a little boy. And he began to explain himself. And after a while, he told me about his grandma. I said, yes, I know your grandma. I worked with your grandma. In fact, she made me a lot of baskets, a lot of pretty basket with pretty designs and with all of that. He said, I need help. And I said, I want to help to identify, I guess, California Indians. Yes, I said, sure, I'll help you, whatever it is. And of course he said, you know any stories? Of course I said, I don't know what kind of stories. Well, any kind of Indian story. Anything. Well, he said, I want to show part of this California Indian culture. Show it to the people of the world if I have to. I said, yes, I will. He said he met a guy that wanted to make a film, want to make some kind of a thing that's alive like, you know, a shadow or whatever. Well, I said, sure, Clarence, a shadow's a spirit. A spirit just like your shadow, like a tree shadow, or like a buzzard or whatever, make a shadow, or like an eagle maybe, a shadow, like my shadow here by the light. I said, sure. Then he started explaining to me that what he wants. I said, when you want me down here? He said, anytime. I said, I'll be down there tomorrow. I'll be down there tomorrow. And of course, without a doubt, of course, I went to San Francisco next day. Of course, living up here on San Francisco Street, near Cap Street, I finally found him. So we like to share the knowledge that he was talking about the white deer. In fact, I was talking about a white deer today, and I got to see one spirit for the white deer tonight. Isn't that something? I was talking about how when I was running around Six Rivers National Forest, the Klamath River National Forest, looking for something, I didn't know what I was looking for. But in my mind, I think I was looking for white deer. Or Bigfoot. You know Bigfoot? You know, my grandparents used to tell me that when you contact with Bigfoot, don't be scared. Don't be scared of Bigfoot. So my first contact with Bigfoot was in Marble Mountain Wilderness area. Me and my uncle. My uncle used to like to travel with me. And I was just ready to go. As soon as he warms up a little bit, I'm ready for the mountain. And I would stay up there for months at a time. Talk about excitement. Talk about love of the wilderness. I was one of them. Crazy about the wilderness. Wanted to get out there and see what I can see and what I can learn on Mother Earth, because all my people were all old people. I mean old. They were all wrinkled up. Barely can see. Old. And I was the only person, little boy by that side. because I was left an orphan when I was 3 months old. Dad died when Mom was pregnant 6 months, and she died when I was 3 months old. So that kind of left me all by myself. They took all my brothers. I had 4 brothers and 2 sisters. Took them all away to boarding school in Kansas City, Riverside, Carson City, or Chamawa. They all left me, but me at home. So I kind of grew up in an adult world. All old people, like I said, all wrinkled up, stooping around, staggering around. But they were alive. They showed me everything. I hear them talk my language, my Indian language. Oh, 2 old ladies talking. That's the only little boy we got on the river. They all took all the kids away. And I was wondering, why did they take all the kids away? They left me all by myself with the old people. But I'm glad they did, because today Charlie Thom is who he is. He's a little wild, a little crazy, yun, and crazy in my own way, But I tell you, I learned all of this because the white deer that I just seen today made me proud to see that, because I was talking about white deer about 4 or 5 days ago. I was up on a mountain. And by the way, I'm writing a book, finally, after all these years. And this young girl is typing up my book, fast on her hand. It sounds like you go to the mountains somewhere today. I said, you know what, I got a 4-wheel drive out here, full of gas. Yes, why don't we? It only takes, let me see. Yeah, we go up to the mountain. So I took up to the mountain, drove up to the logging road, rough road, went up there. And we looked at Mount Shasta. Didn't have no, they were sad. I say they were sad because had a very little snow and just bare. And any time I get to see that, my grandparents used to say, you got to do something about it. And I do strongly believe, with the faith that I carry, which I learned from all the old people, which I shall share with you tonight, what I learned through these feathers that the eagle shed for me. I never killed eagle in a day in my life, but I got the bald eagle feathers in my hand. Who shows me from the spiritual value of this feather? The spiritual value of the white deer. The spiritual value of people that I love to hear him sing, to hear about what Indian really is, and to hear about how it was many, many moons ago. You know, I told Mr. Hostler, well, I'll help you, and I want you to help me, just in case something ever happens to me, to teach my boy where I left off of teaching him. So that's that kind of a verbal deal, spiritual deal I made with him. Yes, I'll help you. So today, I see him, he's involved in a lot of things to bring back the supernatural, physical, spiritual power back into Indian community in his own personal way from the heart. That's the reason why I love all my people here in this room today, because you have a talent. Please use that talent. Because we all have a talent in us. I like to see the dancing. That's the healing dancing. I like to see people sing the healing. And I like to see people laughter, because it's a healing in everything. It's a healing because when they start, the old people start looking at me like this. You know, we're going to have to make something of this little boy playing on the ground. I had a little rock for my car, or maybe a little bark, river bark for my car, and I make sure I was playing. I hear exactly what they were talking about, because I understand the Indian language beautiful. And I hear him talk about, yeah, we're going to make something with this little boy playing here, talking a native tongue. Because he's the only little boy left. They took all the other kids away. And only God knows when they're going to come home. They took them away just like that. And of course, to educate them. Instead of that, they took them away to take the culture, the language, the dances that we did, and the singing, and the drumming. They took that all away. They took all the kids away, but left me home. So today I'm proud of Mr. Hostler, because he finally got it. He already had it in him, but he finally got it. Now, he already knew what the deerskin was, he already knew what the feather was, he knew everything. But people was beginning to tell him, this is how you do it, and this is how you do this. You don't supposed to do this. This is how you do it. I said, don't listen to them people. Listen to your own heart. So, just like I do, I listen to my own tuition from my heart. Then I start going out and exercising. Exercising, you know. Exercising, kind of like a wild lizard or wild squirrel or, you know, whatever. Like that, like that squirrel was doing to that young man that was talking about that squirrel, making fun of him. I'm exercising that now, but I have these beautiful eagle feathers that the bald eagle shed for me. And it's making me talk, making me jump around, making me look crazy, you know how crazy you get sometimes. But only spirit kind of make me, I guess you'd call spiritual drunk, that kind of thing. And I'm happy to be chosen by Mr. Hostler to give him the momentum to do whatever he wants to do, And it works. I'm glad that young man sitting over here has chosen me to be part of this, Part of this because I guess I can say that I'm a little teacher or a little singer or whatever you want to call me. I ain't tell a little thing about this drum. The Bible says, please have an instrument. Whether it's a flute, whether it's a drum, or rattle, or a bell, have an instrument. So I have an instrument now to identify who I am. One time I was over here in San Francisco when I was a younger man. I think late 60s, maybe early 70s. Walking down Financial Street in San Francisco, all at once I heard the commotion. And I was walking down the street like this with this square drum, feeling proud. Going down there to meet somebody or doing something, I don't know. I was very active in late 60s, early 70s. Very active, Proud to be an Indian, walking down the street, Financial Street in San Francisco, Pretty soon I had this fucking motion. Jesus scared the living daylights out of me. Here it was, a bus load of people stopped right close to me, and door swung open. There was an old lady come walking out. He stopped the whole bus. I want to see this man. Stop the bus, stop the bus. Top of his voice. And of course, the bus driver stopped. Loaded down with people. She jumped out of there. She was all white hair. Here was a lady that moved out of Orleans many, many years ago. She tells me, "Who are you? Who are you?" I finally told him, "Well, I'm Charlie Thom from the Karuk tribe." He said, I had to stop and see who you were. I haven't been home for so many, many years. I come from Orleans. Panamnik. Adam sheep. I come from, talk my language. Pamnanik, Adam sheep. I come from Orleans, California. And you're Charlie Thom. He says, I know your grandparents. He says, and besides, you're related to me. And you know, that was about 1970, me packing a drum down the street. So again, I want to tell you that this drum here that I carry communications. She's seen it and stopped the bus. Next thing you know, when she stopped the bus, there were people but this much right around Financial Street. They wanted to see what's happening. And that was taking place, where of course I was younger too them days. And of course I told her, he said, I like to meet you. And of course, we met in San Francisco, of course. I told her, be over here at Cal Expo in Sacramento. I'm going to be there a certain day. You know, she was there in Sacramento, and next time I see in Sacramento. But you know, she was there, and she told me how she was related to me. And the thing was, I'm related to the Rubens in Orleans. And I didn't know that till that lady stopped. But I tell you, I thought I'd share that with you because she identified this drum, where it came from. It came from right there. Somewhere in Northern California we have a square drum. So I just want to show you that drum that young man also sang. It means many things to the Hupa, Yurok, Karuk, all of us. It means many things, like that gambler over here. You talk about gambling. My grandpa had 4 wives. I always wondered, how did my grandpa take care of 4 wives? I can't even take care of one. But you know, this drumming, it got so serious. It's part of the culture, the gambling part. Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, no, 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 yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. singing them songs when he was a little boy running around at the ceremony grounds. I want to be like him one day when I grow up. And he's getting there. It really makes me feel good that he is here. I'm with him. I tell him, I want to go with you because I can't drive. But I'm well now. I went to see the doctor about my eyes. He says, you don't need them glasses no more. I know my eyes were getting good. I can read the fine print. For somehow, my heart was bothering my eyes, and I got my heart fixed. Now I can see good again. So I want to thank the Great Spirit for fixing my heart. I want to thank the Great Spirit for being with you tonight and really show you there's something to these songs. That's a luck song that I'm singing. That's the reason why Grandpa had 4 wives. He wanted an Indian card game. And of course, they bet, you getting sleepy? I bet you're getting tired. I think we're going to have to. There's a lady yawning one after another. Got to shut her down. She's ready to fall over here. I'm not making enough noise. But we'll forgive her. She's just like I'm a teacher. I'm an educator. I teach from little ones clear up, you know. I teach. I went to La Jolla University, San Diego, to get certified to be counselor. Oh, I've done a lot of things, and I think that's where Clarence is certified now. He went to school for it, you know. So he's a good counselor. I know because some of my grandchildren is getting hit pretty hard by his teaching. And they begin to sing better than me. You know what I mean? Of course, they're still young yet. And I'm so proud of him because, and my son, he says, I'm ready to dance now. I got some peach fuzz here. I'm ready to dance now. So he said, but he's saying that when he was 15. Dad, I'm ready to dance. I got some fine whiskers. I need to shave my whiskers. I'm ready to dance. You know, he danced in front of me and Clarence here the other day. He sang in front of me and Clarence here the other day. So I know he's ready. Then we went on down to Hupa and seen him that 10-day ritual they had down there, 10 nights and 10 days. He liked it. And not only that, his mother was so proud of him because when he got home, he was dancing around. What did you do to him? I nothing. Clarence done something to him. down Hupa when they went down there and watched them ancient feathers like that white deerskin feathers and everything. He seen it and it really touched his heart. When he got home, Mother says, "What'd you do to the boy?" "I never did nothing to him. Whatever he seen down there, he really touched him." So I think it's a beautiful thing when your own boy that age taking notice of the feathers and that kind of thing. And he believes in what his dad does. I like to see you guys buy the book that says Worlds No No. It's a brand new book that come out. And all my politics, all the way through there. I don't have to go get a lawyer. I have a good lawyer up here. You know? I won a lot of sacred places. Won recognition of the tribe. And AIM wanted to come step in. I said, "Get out of here, you guys. I don't want no radical people around me." To save the Go Road. "I don't want no radical people around me. Get out of here." "Yeah, but we can blow up all this heavy equipment." "No, get out of here." You know, I can sing all night tonight and all day tomorrow and tomorrow night, different songs. And I didn't just pick these songs up on my own, had to be Spirit. Spirit has guided me good many years all through this wilderness area. Somebody had to record these songs, somewhere by the lake, somewhere on these tall mountains, somewhere around the places I went. Someplace somebody recorded these songs. You know, then I come along and received it. Received these songs. That's the reason why I tell people, it's got to be you, nobody else, to go up there and sacrifice what you're up there for. What was I looking for 70-some years? What was I looking for? I don't know. But I just want to share this with you because it's so true how you can receive. It's so true that you can love yourself. I always say, please love yourself first before you start loving things around you. Please love yourself. Then, you know, love comes from every direction then. Love that tree, love who you are, love your neighbor, you know, all that stuff. Just pure, purer than sugar or honey, you know, sweet. Thai, lots. Koura, all of it. Yeah, much pretty. Just 3 words. Thai, lots. Yeah, much pretty. All of it. All. Goode. Just do them 3 words and see what just come out of it. Amkoof. Smoke. Pook. Steam. Amtap. Dust. Use them 3 words and we'll see what you come out of it. You know, spirit. It'll disappear a little while. Just like a shadow. So again, I want to thank you for everybody being listening to me. And I will sing you a coyote song. Coyote is a trickster like me. In fact, a lot of the different tribes like to tease me. Here comes Coyote! That's the first thing they'll say. I think I'll cut it off right here.
Well, thank you, and thanks to Linda and Mike and Ron and Clarence and Charlie for their wonderful generosity, and to the Hearst for sponsoring it, and for everybody for coming. So, and this is the tip of the iceberg. I mean, in terms of the richness of California Indian culture and cultural revival, it could have gone on for 3 days. Thank you.